Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Will from WC Review coming at you on a Sunday, day before Veterans Day. To all our veterans out there, including my son, thank you for your service. This country would not be the same without you. This is a piece I've wanted to do for a while. It has to do with three Medfords, and it's the T versus the Ti, the H versus the full size, and the TFF1 versus the Fat Daddy. A while back, you couldn't convince me otherwise that the .26 Medford blade was not the be-all, end-all grail knife of everything. And now that I've had the experience and pleasure to handle all of them, or most of them, I should say, I've learned that there's in theory and then there's in practice. And let's just jump right into it. So we've got the Medford Marauder H, right? This happens to be a drop point, but we're not going to worry about Tanto or drop point in this piece because it has to do with the .19 versus the .26. All I wanted was the full size Marauder. I'd never handled one. It was one of my dream knives, and this knife, as great as it is, was always just second best. And then I was lucky enough to be able to get my hands from Bob Utachek a full-size Stars and Bars Marauder. And this one happens to be a Tanto. And it is an unbelievable knife. Feels great in the hand. And the way the blade opens. This happens to be D2, and the other H is 3V. But this is the old school snakebite pivots with the old school D2, and the action is unbelievable. However, when you go to cut and do things with this versus this, you can see that this is the more practical knife of the two. Now, if you're busting down heavy stuff and, there's applications for both. But as far as me not being a construction worker and having, utility cuts and things like that, this is the more practical. And I've just learned through using the knives that there are applications for both. But as you can see, the cool factor is right here. The what everyone wants factor, if I shouldn't say everyone who likes big, fat, overbuilt knives. Some people think this is a mameluke and they don't even want to deal with this. However, for me, there are places in the world for both. If I had a gun to my head and I had to pick one, I'd pick this one, believe it or not. And that's hard to say because this is the one prior to handling it that I would have told you I want it no matter what, and I just got to have it. And now that I've got it, it's not as practical as this. So just a thought. So moving on to the TFF1. Okay, another one. I used to scroll through the sites, and if I saw .19, I kept on scrolling. And then I had finally gotten a Fat Daddy, and it was a Predator sculpted Fat Daddy that wound up going to Satu Dave. It was a great knife. And how often did I carry it? Not ever, never, never, because it was big and it was clunky. And in using it, although the blade was sharp, I had to send it back to Medford to be sharpened. And even when it came back, it was, again, I've learned about blade geometry. And the Fat Daddy is more of a wedge than a cutting tool. Not that this is slicey and dicey, but again, practicality-wise, utility-wise, using it wise, the TFF1 is one of the greatest knives of all time, in my opinion, because the way it fits in your hand, both this and the Fat Daddy are second to none. They are just one of the very best. Strider has a really great ergo feel as well, but the TFF1 is a fantastic knife in the pocket, utility-wise, and everything. So then, again, same Bob, I was able to get my dream Fat Daddy, the one I always wanted. Feels just as good in the hand. It's a little bit heavier, which is absolutely fine with me. And then again, if you're cutting cardboard, but if you're gonna be cutting, packages and stuff, does it work? Of course it works. Is it the most practical knife? No. No, and if you know if you're going to be cooking with anything or using anything, unless you're camping or something, I have all the right tools for those things. So you ask yourself, I ask myself, what do I really do with this besides love it and have a cool factor knife? This happens to be in D2 also, and the TFF1 is in 3V, same as the Marauder. Just great knives, both of them. Let me just put them. I mean, everybody's seen it, but look at the difference, right? I wouldn't even have given this a second look until I had experienced this and realized that maybe I should give this one a chance. And I'm glad I did. They are both awesome knives, and they both have a place in the world. But again, gun to my head, I picked this one. Okay? And then it comes down to these two. The Praetorian T versus the Praetorian T. This happens to be the T, which I can open like that. Well, both are in 3V. You can tell by the fuller, and you'll see on the other the Praetorian T has more of a bowl cut, and this is more of a milled out cut. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, so forgive me. But these knives happen to be very similar in style and design, but again, in utility, this is the .19, and the other is the .26, and this knife gets little to no pocket time, but I do love it, and I don't want to get rid of it, not just yet. It's crossed my mind, and I'm sure in time there'll be a knife that I will trade this for or sell it for. But right now, I just enjoy having it because I know that they're not really making them anymore. And here is the very similar Praetorian T. Now, this knife is one of the exceptions in when you handle it. I will, you can see the difference. First of all, it's just kooky how very similar they are, and I got them at two totally separate times. I ordered this one brand new and bought it, and I got this one from Bob Udacek. Funny, all of my big Medfords I got from Bob, all three of them. But again, you can see the difference. This one you hold in your hand is okay. When you hold this one in your hand, it's a different world. This, gun to my head, I picked this one. And this definitely has a place in the world and is great for cutting, but this would be my choice as far as Praetorians. And you can see, what I was saying before about the bowl cut and the fuller's more of a mill cut. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's the right or the type of mill, I should say. But you can see the difference, and it's a dead giveaway. When you're not looking at it like that, sometimes it's hard to tell. So use that as a very clear distinction between the two. Both wonderful knives. I'd pick this one. Okay? So just some fun, something I've been wanting to do, to compare three of the Medfords, the .19 versus the .26. Again, before I'd seen or handled anything, I would have just told you .26, .26. That's all I cared about. Excuse me, I'm taking a drink. But now, having learned about it, I've learned that two of the three knives I would pick the .19, which I don't think I ever would have said without having handled them. So what's coming up is I was lucky enough to have Half-Breed Blades send me some knives for review. And I've got the Gen 2 large bush folder on deck. So that'll be probably later today or another day. But I've got that and a close quarters combat knife to show you guys. But we're at 9 minutes. That's what I wanted to talk about was the the .19 versus the .26. So I'm gonna go watch some TV with my wife and relax for the rest of the day. But enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for listening, guys. I do appreciate you. If you like what I'm doing, please like and sub. Thanks. Bye bye.